Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to walk through something incredibly important, building a highly secure Azure Landing Zone using the principles of Zero Trust. As we sketch this out on our whiteboard today, using a nice calm, cream background, deep charcoal ink, and of course highlighting the absolute most crucial bits in our channel's signature blue and cyan, we're going to treat this complex topic just like building a fortress. We're architecting a digital space where literally every single door and window requires individual verification before anyone gets inside.
Let's kick things off with a very real problem. As our digital infrastructure becomes so deeply embedded in our everyday lives, the sheer complexity of modern systems introduces massive new vulnerabilities. Systems managing essential services are super sensitive to breaches. So the question we really have to ask ourselves when we look at our cloud environments is pretty simple. Are your cloud doors left wide open?
Look, normal internet users and massive enterprises alike are constantly dealing with untargeted cyber attacks. Attackers are just indiscriminate. They target as many devices and users as possible, exploiting the open nature of the internet. Through phishing, ransomware, and scanning, they bypass traditional security measures effortlessly the second a single credential is stolen. Because of this, those traditional moat and castle network perimeters you might be used to, they're simply no longer sufficient.
So here is our step-by-step blueprint for today. First, we'll cover the Zero Trust Fortress. Then, Step 1, Secure Identity. Step 2, Secure Networks. Step 3, Threat Protection. And finally, your Secure Landing Zone.
All right, Part 1, the Zero Trust Fortress and rethinking the perimeter. Now, Zero Trust isn't just some off-the-shelf product you buy and plug in, right? It's a comprehensive strategy and a whole new way of designing your infrastructure. It is fundamentally built on 3 core principles. First, verify explicitly. Always authenticate and authorize based on all available data points. Second, use least privileged access, limiting users with just-in-time and just enough access. And third, assume breach. Always design your systems to minimize the blast radius, operating as if an attacker is already inside the house.
This is where our core analogy really hits the nail on the head. A traditional network, it's basically a castle with a moat. If a bad actor steals a password, they cross the drawbridge and boom, they have free reign to roam all the interior rooms. But a Zero Trust Fortress is a totally different beast. Implementing Zero Trust in Azure means we don't just lock the front gate. We place a vigilant, dedicated guard at every single internal doorway, window, and hallway. You need continuous verification to move anywhere.
Okay, moving to Step 1, Secure Identity, or as I like to call it, the guard at the door.
The whole idea here is that modern security extends way beyond a physical network perimeter to heavily rely on user and device identity. In Azure, Microsoft Entra ID, which you might remember as Azure Active Directory, acts as our central middleware. It functions as the ultimate identity provider and essentially becomes the new definitive perimeter for your entire organization.
Think of Entra ID as the ultimate if-then engine, using conditional access. If a user wants to get in, they have to pass a test based on a bunch of signals. The engine checks who they are, their IP location, the compliance state of their actual device, the specific app they want, and even calculates real-time risk. Only if every single one of these signals checks out does the guard let them through. And even then, it might demand multi-factor authentication just to be absolutely sure.
Now for Step 2, Secure Networks. These are our inner walls and checkpoints. Setting up a secure hub-and-spoke virtual network is really your anchor pattern in Azure. To build this central hub, we methodically execute 3 specific steps. First, we deploy Azure Firewall Premium. Second, we deploy Azure DDoS Protection Standard to stop resource exhaustion attacks in their tracks. And third, we carefully configure our network gateway routing directly to that firewall, making absolutely sure no traffic sneaks past our central security checkpoint.
As we map this out, and notice we're calling out the key actions here in our brands blue and cyan, you can see exactly how Azure Firewall Premium enforces verify explicitly by using TLS inspection on all traffic. Least privileged access is enforced because individual spoke virtual networks literally cannot communicate with each other unless they are explicitly routed and allowed by the firewall. And we assume breach by inspecting all traffic, trapping any potential compromise in one tiny, isolated segment.
But what about when you're already inside a specific room or subnet of the fortress? Well, we don't just leave things wide open there either. We use network security groups and application security groups for deep microsegmentation. This protects your virtual machines right down at the individual tier level. By combining these groups with virtual network flow logs to deeply inspect traffic, we guarantee that even if one single server goes down, the attacker is completely trapped and unable to move laterally.
All right, step 3, threat protection, the fortress lookouts.
Every fortress needs lookouts stationed on the walls, right? For Azure, we equip these lookouts with some incredibly powerful cloud-native tools. Microsoft Sentinel provides intelligent security analytics and proactive threat hunting. Defender for Cloud manages our overall posture and gives us just-in-time access, which strictly limits how long a human can actually interact with a server. Meanwhile, Microsoft Purview is behind the scenes actively classifying and protecting our sensitive data no matter where it lives.
Finally, Section 5, your secure landing zone. Let's bring it all together.
So how does this whole shebang actually snap together? Well, the Microsoft Zero Trust Adoption Framework Tracker gives us a really structured, deliberate blueprint. It's all about aligning these deep technical configurations, like identity validation and microsegmentation, directly with your critical business continuity goals. By combining Entra ID's identity verification at the front door, Azure Firewall's traffic inspection at the inner gates, and Sentinel's constant vigilance up on the walls, you've built a calm, incredibly resilient cloud environment. But please remember, Zero Trust is not a one-and-done deployment. It's a continuous, living posture of relentless verification.
I'll leave you with this final, vital thought to ponder as we wipe the whiteboard clean today. If a breach happens today, like if a credential gets stolen right this second, does your current architecture guarantee the threat stays isolated in a single room, or are your inner doors still wide open? Thanks so much for joining me in this explainer, and I highly encourage you to go review your own landing zones with these principles in mind.